I guess we should start with Chloe. Chloe
Sure.
Sevigny. I think I'm
Sure.
pronouncing it correctly.
Sure. I pronounce it differently every time, so it's, a little bit.
You're pretty on the nose every time, I would say, but Chloe Sevigny. But the where is she right now? Do you think?
Oh, the real Chloe 70 or my insane Martian
No, yours.
time traveling weirdo.
One, both, or they're one and the same.
Oh, well, it's so funny because I've been doing Chloe for almost 20 years now. I did her on stage in March of 2002. So this coming March will be 20 years that I've been doing her. And
We've been aware about for like 10 years now, I think.
Yeah,
what'd you say?
We've been aware about for about 10 years, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because the first YouTube video was like 2010.
I believe so. That's probably right.
So, a little bit afterwards. A little bit after that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a thing I was doing on stage, and the first night I did it, it bombed horribly, and then I did it another night, and it went well, and it was really up and down. Like, I never knew. It was definitely not like my hit. It was a weird offshoot thing that I would kind of do on stage. And then Jim Hansen, my friend, came in and said, I want to make these videos, and so that's when that sort of took off. But
who directs the show? The
sorry?
segments. Who directs the Chloe?
He does direct. He directs. He edits. He finds all the images. He does my outfits. He is the reason that he absolutely is like responsible for all the doors that have opened for me because of Chloe. And
I love the outfits too.
Oh,
he's
everything
incredible.
is just
yeah.
And he'll take like really sort of normal clothes and we'll just button them or fold them differently or just dress them weird, like pull things way too high or too low, and just or shoot things oddly just to make her like more bizarre and interplanetary. But for 20 years, I have gotten messages from people like about the real Chloe, like, "Oh my God, I'm at a restaurant. Chloe 70's here. Oh my God, Chloe's here. You got it." And I'm like, it tells me where not to go because I don't want to bother her, and like I don't have like a bounty on her, which I'm sure she feels that like for 20 of her years, like there's some weird guy in LA that's been putting on a wig and claiming to be her. So, I sort of purposely stay out of her life. I mean, she had a baby last year or 2 years ago, and a lot of people were like, you need to do a video about having a baby, and I'm like, no, because I don't want to make fun. That's a wonderful thing. I'm thrilled for her and her partner. They have a child, and I don't want to. That feels too personal and strange. And the Chloe that I've created is such a bizarre offshoot, and it's become my own character. So so the real Chloe I would imagine is working on some insanely cool indie project, or she's in the basement of the coolest DJ's studio listening to the best music.
I meant this as a compliment and not as a stalky weird way, like stalky way, like because I totally get what you mean. Because if you did like, oh, I am Chloe Sevigny and I am I don't know impassioned by bébés, like it would be kind of weird, like too private. Yeah,
and I mean people mean well, and they have obviously really good intentions, and they like the videos, and they're like, hey, look, here's some news about Chloe 70, and it's like, that's cool, that's great. I actually, I've watched her in things for the last few years, and I genuinely forget for moments, it kind of flashes as I'm watching, that it's this thing that I do, because I can sort of enjoy her. I just saw that series We Are Who We Are that she is on a military base, and I'm watching it, all 7 episodes of it, and then totally forgetting that it's like this giant part of my life because they're so separate to me.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine. I've never met her. Have you met her at all?
I have met her. We met once, and she years ago, right when the videos took off, and she was really nice. I was super awkward because I had never thought what I would say to her when I met her. Because I was doing it on stage to look at the timeline, if it has been 10 years off and on before the videos, so I had done it for so long, but it was so underground, like nobody knew about it. It was not it was like people, I would do it for like 100 people a night at a weird thing. And so when the videos took off and they blew up really big, really fast, I had not like figured out like, oh, I'm actually going to meet this person, and like I actually have to interact with her. And so I just was kind of really quick, and I just wanted to I just said, I didn't want to apologize to her because I felt lame, and it felt like I'm sorry, because it's and also distant. I'm like, I think she's great, and I think if I didn't love her, I don't think that the videos would take off. I think if I was like really trying to drag her or make her look like, I don't think it would work. I don't know, but or it certainly wouldn't be fun for me to do. But she was really nice. I just said thank you for being you. And I just said, I hope you know how much I love you. And she gave me a hug, and like I remember we talked about vodka, and I think there was something I'd just seen her in. I just kind of talked briefly about that, and I was just like, I've got to go, and she was like, oh, you got to go, and I was like, yeah, I got to go, because I was like, I just didn't want to like hang out with her and make her feel like she had to. And also, I didn't want her to think I was studying her. Like, she's wearing this. Yeah. Oh, she just said this. I'm gonna put that in the next video, because I'm like, you know.
That's what you don't want to do, precisely.
Yeah, just leaving it casual.
Exactly.
I mean, I've been asked. I've had several crazy job offers that I've had to turn down because they've been like, "We're gonna fly you to Chloe's movie premiere, and you can ambush her on the red carpet, and you'll be her." And I'm like, absolutely not. I said only if she signs off on that, and I want to hear her on the phone saying, "Yeah, this sounds like a fun idea. I'll do a bit with her permission, but I'm not going to go on like a red carpet and show up." I'm like, I mean, that's something that Borat does to some horrible person. Right?
You know, like that's not a good idea. It's not cool.
No, she's not an enemy.
If it comes from Chloe, of course.
Mm-hmm. Right. But I mean, when Borat does it, it's like just some terrible organization that deserves to be made fun of. It's
exactly.
Like when people do, and also I could never do that anyway. That is like a. I can't. I'm so nervous with like audience participation. I get so clammy. I don't like making people feel uncomfortable. So I would just be like, especially her, that would be horrible. Like, and what would I get out of that? Like, haha. Like, I don't know. So, you know.
That's too gotcha. That's too like, you know, gotcha and candid and, oh, surprise, prankster
And it's
Chloe.
Also like, I mean, I would kill for her career. I'm not going to lie. Like, I would kill to be doing indie films and be an actor. Yeah. So for me to like make fun of that, it's sort of like just looks like sour grapes. So I'd just be like, I think it's really cool what she does. So you know, but it's been a life-changing, wonderful thing that I'm very grateful to people who like the videos. I can't believe that 20 years later I'm still talking about doing it. I had no idea that it would change my life the way it did. But yeah, it definitely put me on the map, on whatever map that is. I don't know, but
the world map.
The world map,
and hopefully Mars and Saturn.
Yes, please.
And as long as Jeff Bezos doesn't have access to it.
Oh, exactly. For 10 minutes, you know. Yes.
He'll watch one. Okay, we allow him one. He's human after all, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I actually had had this written down, or at least in my head, or on my phone. But it's actually, I think it's a forever character, Chloe Sevigny. You were just saying it's been 20 years. I think it's a forever character, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. What do you mean by a forever character? I love that expression.
I think it's just I haven't seen it anywhere. I just came I thought of it. It's just like a thing that you can do forever, because it's so open, scoped. You know, the scope is so wide. You could just say random anything, even though it's very precise. But you could really just can have a world of anything to say that you could do this forever with anyone, because the time, it's very zeitgeisty as well, I think.
Well, I've had people say to me, like, this reminds me of a friend, you know, more than Chloe Sevigny. That reminds me of, I have a friend that loves to come back and name drop what kind of party they were at, who was there, and has to be cooler than the room. The person who walks in and basically is like, I know these references, and they're almost disappointed if you understand the references. They kind of feel like that makes them basic if you understand, you know. So I think that's one of those things that, you know, and I read an interview with her, you know, 20 years ago, and I just was like so taken by the fact that she was throwing these references out to be like, oh, she was just as if everyone knew these references. And I had, you know, am fascinated by this world. So I just heightened that idea more about the person who has to, and also someone who loves to teach you about things you know. Like everything's come to her attention, and it's things that we already know. Like, I mean, she has a video that it's come to her attention that she has grandparents, or that that she likes sandwiches
or birds.
And it's like
we are among birds. I think that's my favorite one. I think
the what? Which one?
The birds one. The birds.
Oh, birds.
Right. Oh, it's so,
and so
just insanely loopy.
So for 2 minutes, she wants to teach you about birds, like as if you have no idea what birds are, and she's happy. And I found that like it's really.
But some of them you don't know. Some of them you don't know. Yeah, for sure.
And there will be things you don't know because Chloe's probably lived inside, an egret for, or whatever, for, a year and a half.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really fun, and it's also fun to find the positive angle, as opposed to going at like and being a snot and being like snide and bitchy. It's more about like I can't wait to tell you about this thing that I've discovered. It's like she finds it like really exciting to share with America, which whatever that means to her, I have no idea.
It's funny because we feel like we saw you saying that if you don't get if you get all the references, you're kind of the joke on, that kind of the subject of the joke, kind of. So even though you're not being made fun of, really, but it's what about? Like I talked to Nono while we were watching just the other day, and we were like, I think we are on the level of getting half the references. Where does that put us?
I think. Well, I mean, half the references are, I would say, things that are real, things that I know. Some of them I make up. Like I make up all the food, and then sometimes there's some labels that I will make up. There are other things that we look up. I sort of look up. A lot of it is I go back and forth with Jim about what sounds funny or what sounds. Are you having someone?
Yeah, it's just some weird. I don't know. We're actually in an earthquake area. Just but it only. I know it's not funny at all. But we are actually in the same sort of. We get them way less than you guys. I think at least maybe we don't feel them. But ours, we just only get a really, really serious one like every 300 years or something. And then half the city goes away.
God, I hope it doesn't happen right now.
I hope not.
Not before we finish talking about my YouTube videos.
Exactly. Priorities.
When I lived in Milan, like for like 1 or 2 years, I lived on a really shaky area. And so like I would just wake up at 5 a.m. with like my bed going like wee, and it was just normal, just regular.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel in LA. I mean, knock on wood, I haven't lived through a terrible one, but I've been through some pretty big ones, and they usually happen in the middle of the night, and I wake up and I usually check my phone and see people going earthquake, and I go, okay, that's go right back to bed, and I don't know, they just become part of like I grew up in like hurricanes and tornadoes like in North Carolina, which are so much scarier to me than earthquakes. Because I don't know, and they're all terrible and they can all be really, really bad. But hurricanes are no joke.
I've never encountered one nor seen one, so thankfully, But but we only get like mid-range. Not mid-range, like low-range Richter scale things in the middle of the night as well. And then some people felt it, some people didn't. But
we live on top of the metro station, the subway station. So sometimes when friends come from cities without subways, they come to our house and they're just like, earthquake.
Right, you're like, no, it's just a train.
No,
just a train.
Another character that you do. Oh, well, actually, we forgot the first question, which was, where is Chloe Sevigny now? Yours.
My Chloe.
We've established that it's not cool to know where the real Chloe Sevigny is.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
My Chloe is currently slumbering in a dream yurt awaiting her next realization.
Why did I fetch a drink right when I
she's just hanging out with Anya Taylor-Joy and a family of larvae, and they're all figuring out what's next.
It's fantastic. Awesome.